today's video is going to be my July favorites. I'm sorry I'm kind of filming this a little bit later in the month, but I did have some new products come in July, and I really wanted to get up some of the first impressions videos of those products first, and also my haul before I filmed and posted my favorites video. I also did not get a chance to film my favorites video until today, but yes, I did try quite a few new things in the month of July, and I'm going to be sharing those with you today. Just so you know, I did have COVID again last month, so there was a couple of days where I just did not put on makeup at all, but I still had time to try out all of these products for you guys fully, and I am very confident to say that these are my favorites for July. But I have not taken a break like that from makeup, and I don't even know how long. Like, I am a consistent makeup wearer, and I wear makeup pretty much every single day, because I'm usually either going to my boyfriend's house, working, or seeing a friend, or doing something with my mom, and I usually wear makeup every day because I have a big collection. But I just took, like, I needed a day to myself the first day because I was beyond tired and I didn't really sleep that well the night before. The first day I tested positive because I was like paranoid that I had it, and I knew that I had it. So yeah, I'm just letting you guys know I'm feeling way better now, and thank you guys for the messages that for people that were checking in on me. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I am finally getting some energy back. It took like 3 weeks to get some energy back, and sometimes even when I was trying to film, I kind of got out of breath. And also, I didn't even feel like editing anything sometimes because you have like such a bad headache a lot. So I'm kind of playing catch up with a lot of videos to post. So yeah, those videos will be coming, I promise. I just needed to get the haul up and my favorites video up first because obviously those are priorities. So let's jump in and talk about eyeshadow palettes first, because I did try quite a few eyeshadow palettes this past month. But of course, the three palettes I'm going to be talking about first are all from Colourpop, so I'm going to mention these first. So the first one, I did try 3 palettes from Colourpop this past month, yes. This was supposed to be just my July palette, and then I ended up picking up 2 other ones from Colourpop, but the first one is the In the Limelight 9-pan palette. I know I say this all the time, and I'm probably a broken record at this point, but of course I did not intend to pick up this palette initially, and then I saw Morgan Turner absolutely rave about this eyeshadow palette for the summertime, and she said that this was their best release from Colourpop in the entire year, that I was like, okay, now I really want to try it. And this palette is really, really nice quality, very, very pretty. This is definitely the best palette I've tried from Colourpop since the Winnie the Pooh palette. I wasn't really in love with their formula this year. It was super powdery. The metallics were also not that special, especially from the Secret Admirer and the All Amethyst. Those 2 palettes fell so short for me. So I was kind of hesitant to try this palette because I was like, I didn't want to be disappointed again and try to sell this on my Poshmark if I didn't like it. But Morgan Turner usually never steers me wrong, and it really intrigued me to try it. This palette's really beautiful. The mattes in here blend really nicely. They're not my all-time favorite mattes from Colourpop, but they perform really well. They are not powdery like the ones in the All Amethyst palette. Those mattes like literally would just blend away every time I would try to build the color up. It just did not work out for me. These greens build up really nicely. I was actually super impressed with the green shades because they're kind of more of like a pastel green. I also like that you only get 3 green shades in here, and then you get like this really pretty neutral tone, like pinkish brown, and then you get a deepening shade. So I think that this color story was curated really well, and the shimmers in here are so nice and metallic on the lid, and they just glide on and they look like super wet, and they're beautiful. So I really love this palette. Also, the Star Power shade is such a stunning inner corner highlight. It's like a white with kind of like a lime green shift to it. It's not too green though. It's like an absolutely perfect inner corner highlight for this palette. So I really have been loving this palette. I, of course, have a first impressions on this palette on my channel. So I'll just swatch a couple of the shades for you guys. And there are some of the shades. So there is Star Power, Booked, and After Party. And really the mattes I was very impressed with. I'm surprised that they performed so well. I was a little bit hesitant because they're more pastel, but they really did a great job with this formula in the palette. It's really, really nice. So if you guys were thinking about picking up this palette and you kind of want to dip your toes into color for the summertime, because I really have been loving colorful looks this summer. Even though I did get sick again, I could not wait to wear some colorful eye looks again. And this palette really has been a beautiful one for that. So I'm really excited to use it even more this August before the summer is over. Because honestly, after August is over, September is pretty much fall for me. I really feel like September is just a fall month. I feel that summer is June to August, and then fall is like September to November for me. So I feel like that's how a lot of people are, to be honest. Okay, so next palette is another 9-pan from Colourpop. And this is the Nude Mood palette. This one I did get from Ulta. I didn't get it from Colourpop's website. And I don't know why it took me this long to pick up this palette, you guys. But I freaking love this palette. I think that the mattes in here... I thought it smelled weird for a second. I think the mattes in here perform even better than the Limelight ones. The Limelight ones still blend beautifully. But these are super, super smooth and soft on the eyes. And the metallics in here are so sparkly and pretty on the lid. You just throw it on the lid and your lid is sparkling for the day. And I feel like I'm going to reach for this a ton over my other neutral palettes, because this has become one of my favorite neutral palettes ever, you guys. And I've only used it 4 times because it obviously didn't take me that long to wear it. And honestly, I wanted to wear it so bad today and yesterday because, like, I just wanted to do more neutral looks with it because it's just such a pretty palette. Like, but I'm actually in the process of testing out a new palette, so that's why I have that one on my eyes today. I'm using I have the Nomad Cosmetics Feats de Provence palette on my eyes today. I used it today and yesterday I used it for the first time yesterday. So my first impressions will be going up with that palette, but I already used it in, I already mentioned it in my haul video. So anyway, this is stunning. The shimmers are super sparkly. The mattes blend beautifully. It's like a no-brainer, honestly. Like, if you want a palette that's inexpensive and it's a good, trusty-dusty, everyday neutral palette, this is beautiful. Like, this has shot up my list as one of my favorite neutral palettes besides the Sigma palette, the Ambiance palette, because the shimmers remind me of the shimmers in the Sigma palette. They're super sparkly and metallic, and I have been all about that kind of shimmer this summer. That's all I want on my lid is like super sparkly metallic shades. I'm wearing a little bit more of a subtle one today, but this is Wink Wink. This is Put On Airs, and this one is Mugged Off, and they're just so nice. The mattes in here are so buttery smooth, and they blend so easily, and the shimmers are just stunning. So I don't know why it took me this long to pick this up. The reason why I got this is because I was eyeing it at Ulta for like a week, and I was looking at their Colourpop section, and at first I wanted to finally pick up the California Love palette that I have been debating over every single summer whether or not I should get it because it has some beautiful warm tones in it. But there's like 2 pressed glitters in that palette, so that honestly kind of deters me from using it. Not that I have a problem with pressed glitters, but it's only giving me 3 shimmer shades, but then I can get a 9-pan for less money that has 3 shimmer shades but has mattes that I'm going to use all the time. I thought that this was a much better choice for me, and I'm glad I went with this one instead. But this palette is beautiful. I love that there's matte brow bone highlight in here. I love the deepening shades that you have like 2 options, but also these are really good crease shades. And then this brown shimmer is beautiful. I just really love it. And it might be giving Going Coconuts a run for its money. I do like the depth and dimension that you get with the mattes in there a little bit more than these mattes. But I think that the formula is way better in this one over the Going Coconuts. Not that that formula isn't amazing, but these mattes blend even more easier and more buttery than the Going Coconuts one. So I absolutely love that palette. And then the last Colourpop palette is the one that I think is their best palette they've come out with this year, and that is the In the Springs palette. You guys, guess what I'm going to say? Just guess what I'm going to say again. I wasn't going to get this palette initially. Let me just say that about every single palette that I talk about from Colourpop, because they end up becoming my favorite palettes from them. I really need to just listen to myself and be like, you know you want it, Caitlin, so just get it, try it out, and then you know you're going to love it anyway. But honestly, best formula I've tried from them this year. This palette just blends so dang easily. And the color story is such a perfect color story for me personally for summertime, because I absolutely love the combo of orange and blue. And I just think this palette is so pretty. I'm not sure if they've done this color combo before in a 12 pan format. A lot of people were comparing this palette to the Soul palette, which was one of their first 9-pan palettes that came out like a couple years back. It's basically like this color story is pretty similar to the Soul palette, but I never owned that, so, and I always thought that color story was so pretty, but I don't know, just it really appealed to me in this palette, and I really love the poolside background. It just makes me want to get in a pool every single time I look at this. And when a company can do that, like the Frosted Flakes highlighter literally makes me want to have a bowl of Frosted Flakes every single time I look at it. Colourpop nailed it with this packaging, with me wanting to get into a pool every time I use it. But honestly, it's stunning. The mattes blend so easily, and they're so buttery smooth and easy to work with, and they're pigmented, and they just blend so beautifully on the eyes. And the metallics are so shiny and metallic and wet looking and sparkly that I'm obsessed with this palette. I've used it a few times already. I've used all the shimmers, and they're just stunning on the lid, and I just cannot wait to use this more. Like, honestly, this and the Nude Mood are like the only 2 palettes I want to use for the rest of August. But I'm like, I gotta use this palette too because I got it. But this palette is so beautiful. Oh my god, I love it so much. The metallics are just so soft and smooth. Oh, they're so pretty. Look at that. So that one is Hot Tub, and that one is Private Event. They're just so super sparkly in person. And I'm just going to swatch a couple of the mattes for you guys. Let's do Intense and Neon Kiss. I probably swatched the same colors in my haul video, but whatever. They just are so easy. This one's Intense and this one is Neon Kiss. They just blend so beautifully. My only gripe with this palette, because y'all know I gotta have at least one complaint. I love it so much, but I just kind of wish that there was a turquoise blue in here. But you can pretty much get the same effect with this shade if you blend it out a little bit more. It kind of looks almost a little bit more blue toned on the eyes. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't show up like super teal, but I kind of want to use this shade as like my crease shade and put this one all over the lid and put this on the outer corners and maybe use this as a deepening shade as well. I think that'll be so pretty to really see how the turquoise shade shows up, because I haven't really used it on its own yet. I've only used it on the lower lash line. I haven't used it. Maybe I did use it as a defining shade. I can't remember, but I don't think I did. I think I only used it on the lower lash line, but it was so pretty. But yeah, love this palette. I can't stop rambling about it. It's just stunning. I love it so much. And I really do love the half neutral, half colorful palettes from Colourpop. They end up becoming like some of my favorite palettes from them in general. That's why I love the Barbie palette so much. That was my favorite summer palette last summer. This is hands down my favorite summer palette this summer. Okay, and then the last eyeshadow palette that I wanted to mention is not from Colourpop, But I have used this palette a few times this month, and I did say that I was going to use this palette a little bit more in the summertime because when I first got it, it was like in September actually I think this palette and collection released in November. So I didn't really get to use it as much as I would have liked to because I thought that it was much more of like a summertime color story. And I'm talking about the Odin's Eye and Fancy Face Hummingbird palettes. This palette is so beautiful for the summertime, you guys. I mean, hello, the packaging is absolutely stunning. I know that this palette is not available anymore, but I wanted to mention it because I just wanted to say how beautiful of a summer color story is this. I mean, you have your beautiful neon pops of mattes in this palette, and then you have these beautiful, like, deepening mattes. But the shimmers really do shine in this palette. I used the shade Feathers one day. I used the shade Tropics another day. And I used the shade Swallowtail another day. So I basically just stuck with these shades up here. I would like to jump into these shades again. They're so beyond pretty. I really would like to use the multi-chrome again. I would have popped that on my lid today if I didn't try the Nomad palette again, but it's just such a pretty palette. And I know this is more of a companion palette, but I really like using this in conjunction with the Giant Wolves palette because I think that there are some really pretty matte shades that go beautifully with these shimmers in here. And I just did a blue look recently using this palette on my channel, and I used one of the blues I used the blue matte that was in the Odin's Eye palette, the Giant Wolves palette, and it was such a pretty look. So I just think this is such a stunning color story for the summertime, and I'll just swatch a couple of shades for you guys. Like, the pigmentation for Odin's Eye are just amazing. I'm just going to show you guys on my fingers because I kind of ran out of space here. So this one is Feathers, this one is Fancy Face, and this one, actually Fancy, and this one is Hibiscus. Just stunning. Look at that hibiscus shade. Like, are you kidding me with that opacity? It's insane how beautiful Odin's Eye's palettes are. So they did release the Hella palette a couple of months ago, and I'm surprised that that palette is still available because it's been available a lot longer than these ones that were. These were only available for like a month or two. But I'm really excited to see who they collaborate with next because I ended up collecting all 4 of the palettes, so I'm really curious to see who they collab with next. Okay, so let's just talk about one face primer. I just want to mention this one again. This is the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Dew Primer. I really have been enjoying this one throughout the summertime. This has been like my go-to face primer, and also I've been loving the Fourth Ray Do It Hydrating Hyaluronic Mist. I love putting these two together because I use this one as my prep spray and then I use this one as my primer, and I use this combo at least 3 times a week. And I really do love this primer because it smells amazing first off, but it also just melts into the skin so nicely, and this hydrates the skin just so beautifully. I love this face mist. It's just so good. But this is really good because it just absorbs into the skin so nicely. It doesn't remain like super tacky on your face. And then it makes your foundation just go on so nicely over top. So I really have been enjoying this primer again throughout the month of July. I'm probably going to mention it in August too because I use it a lot for work. I'm still trying to use up the Milk Hydro Grip primer. But every time I use that, I want to go back to using this one. It's hard for me to stop myself from using this. But it's so good, and I really would like to use that up as well. So, speaking of e.l.f., I almost forgot to mention this, or forgot to pull this out, but I'm mentioning that at the end. Speaking of e.l.f., the only thing that I, used very consistently over the month of July, because I didn't pick up any new concealers or foundations, but you guys know I try to rotate my foundations that are in my collection now. I'm just on a no-buy for foundations. I picked up 2 during the VIB sale back in April, and I haven't picked up a new one since then. It's been like 3 months, and I have used up 2 foundation products recently. I still need to get my products I've used up video. I started filming that like a week or 2 ago, and I still haven't put it up yet because I didn't finish filming it. So anyway, the one concealer that I wanted to talk about again is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. I use this so much, you guys. I'm so glad that I repurchased it. It's just such a good concealer because it has a really nice creamy consistency, but it also has really beautiful coverage. I use this for days where I just want just a good concealer underneath my eyes, but I use it for work and I use it on an everyday basis when I want just something simple underneath my eyes. And it's just such a good concealer because it's just so creamy and it just looks amazing underneath the eyes, and it just looks good with like, this is a good formula that I can use with like any foundation. And of course, I've been loving the Tarte Hydraflex concealer again. That one is amazing too. So they've been like my two go-to concealers for the summertime because they both have that creamy consistency, but they both have such beautiful coverage as well. Okay, so 2 more eye products. I just wanted to talk about the 2 eyeliners that I've been using the most this past month are these 2 from Colourpop, and the shades I wanted to talk about is the cream gel liner in DTLA, and the other shade is the shade Boots, which is actually the one I'm wearing on my waterline today. I don't know what it is about these 2 eyeliners, but I cannot stop using them. I really have just been loving this shade of blue for the summertime, and this shade goes so well with the In the Springs palette, but it's just such a good color because it's like a really more like deeper blue. I don't know why that swatched so patchy, but it does not go on like that on the waterline. It's just one of the smoothest cream gel liners I've ever tried from Colourpop, and I've just been using this one so much. I use it at least 3 or 4 times a week, especially for work. But I also really like using it as just like a little bit of a pop of color with a neutral eye. I love doing that too, where you just have a neutral eye on and you put a pop of color on the lower lash line. That's a really fun way to incorporate color if you're not like in love with colorful looks or you're like intimidated by them. Just pop a colorful liner on your waterline, and it's like a fun twist on a neutral look. But this is so pretty, so I've been using this liner a lot. And then the other shade is Boots, which is what I have on my waterline today, and I've been liking this one more so than the hot pink one that I have, is because this one's more of like a pinky fuchsia shade. It's not as hot pink as the pink one that I have, and this one's just so pretty with all the like looks that I've been doing with the palettes that I've been using. I've been liking using this one on the waterline when I use the In the Limelight palette, because if I wear like a shirt that's like a green and pink color, I like putting this on the lower lash line for a little pop of pink to go with my shirt. And it's been really pretty. So those are the 2 liners I've been using the most. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some cheek products. I only have a couple of blushes to talk about. So the first product I wanted to talk about for blushes is I have been using this blush palette a ton this month, because this is like my favorite summer palette, I think, for blushes. And I'm talking about the Jaclyn Cosmetics Rouge Romance palette. This palette is just the perfect summertime palette for me, because she really smashed it with this collection. I think since then, I don't think she's really been caring too much about her line, but I have to mention that I use this palette every summer. But I really have been going hard with it this past summer, and I love wearing this because these just last so well on the skin, and they're just such beautiful, vibrant, pigmented blushes for the summertime, and that's why I love whipping this one out for the summer. I've used almost every shade in here. I think the only one I haven't used this summer is Ever After, but I think I've used the rest of them. I love using Pretty Posh for like an everyday color, and the same thing with Fancy Pants, because Pretty Posh is like a subtle pinky mauve and Fancy Pants is like a peachy color, which you guys know those are like my favorite blush shades to wear. And then I love this shade Tea Room for the summertime because I love using super vibrant orange blushes for the summertime, because I don't use like super orange blushes in like the fall and winter, but spring and summer, that's all I love wearing. And this is such a stunning orange shade. And I think I wore this one to the city when I went and saw Thor, and it lasted so long on my skin. So these are really beautiful, pigmented, long-lasting blushes, and they blend out so beautifully on the face. So I suggest if you haven't tried them, maybe give them a try, but they're just so nice. This is one of my favorite blush formulas I've ever tried, to be honest, because they're so smooth and buttery. So this one is Tea Room, and this one is Boudoir, and they're just so good. Aren't those such beautiful summer colors? I mean, come on. Come on, you know? How can you say that they're not? I just need to grab another tissue because, of course, I feel like I'm staining my hands with all these, like, super pigmented products. But it's just such a beautiful blush palette, and I really have been enjoying it this past summer again. I ended up returning the Melt Cosmetics Mariposa blush because I feel like blush palette because I feel like these blushes are just so much better to use in the summertime, and they were just shades that I wasn't really reaching for, and I got it back in April, and I don't even feel like I was going to use it too much in the winter time either. It was a beautiful formula, but I am actually wearing a powder melt blush today, and I'd rather get and I really like the formula, so I'd rather get like single blushes from Melt rather than that blush palette because I really do like their powder formula, and I loved the formula in that palette, but just like the shades were too dark for me and they were like too intimidating for me to use because they were like super pigmented on the skin, and I was like, this is just not for me. So I really like this one because these are super pigmented, but these are more tones that I'm gonna go for my personal preference, so that's why I'd rather just have this one in my collection. And then the last two blushes, I'm not absolutely in love with this formula, but I really do like the shades of these. And these are the new Benefit box blushes that they came out with. And the two shades that I got were Peachin' and Shelly. And I got two of the minis. So Peachin' is like a really pretty soft peach shade. And I've worn this one quite a bit, you know, with my everyday looks or just in general. And this one is a really nice everyday peach shade. It's not really going to swatch like anything. I find that these two blushes are much more of a, just dropped my tissue, are much more of like a buildable formula. So you can kind of coat your brush a little bit more with more of the product because it's not going to look like overboard. Like I kind of swipe it around in the pan a little bit. And this one is the shade Shelly because they're not as pigmented or intimidating as some other blush formulas. They're much more of a buildable formula. So that's why I think a lot of people like these Benefit blushes because they're not like super intimidating. And I think that the color range that they came out with is really, really pretty. So I was kind of intrigued on trying these. So I got these two shades and they are really nice. Okay, now let's move on to some cheek products and lip products. And I'm just telling you guys right now, the majority of them are Colourpop. But I have to talk about this bronzer, and I did mention this in my haul video, but I think that this is my all-time favorite bronzer, hands down, like ever. And that is a big statement, and I know everybody's gonna be like, oh, well, it's Colourpop, like you love everything that's Colourpop. No, this formula is just amazing. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's amazing. And I'm talking about the Colourpop matte bronzer in the shade Alviva Beach. I would not even say this is a matte bronzer. Like, it is a matte finish, but it has like this amazingly beautiful, silky, smooth velvet texture to it that I just can't put it down. Like, it's just so easy to use, so easy to work with, and it just glides on the skin, but it feels so soft in the pan. And it's just such a beautiful formula. It's just so super smooth. I absolutely love this. And I really have not put this bronzer down the entire month of July. And as soon as I got it and I tried it for the first time, I'm like, I'm in love. And I used it once, and then I used like my Gucci bronzer and my Dior bronzer. And then I was like, you know what? I really want to use this one again. And then after I used it again that time, I used it every single day in July after that. And it's just amazing. And then when I go and try to use other bronzers in my collection, I just want to go back to use this one. I'm like, I'm missing using this. Every time I try to force myself to use a different bronzer, I'm like, I just want to use this one every day. I love it so much. So if you guys were looking at like over my NYX bronzer, over my Milani bronzer, over my Fenty Beauty one, like this is just perfect to me. Even, I mean, the Ilia one is still one of my favorites. I would say like these two are like amazing. And this kind of has a similar texture to it, but there's something about this one that just makes it so special and beautiful on the skin. I love it. I'm wearing it today, and I just love what it does for my skin. And I love the shade as well. I was kind of hesitant with this shade when I saw it online. I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be like too warm tone for me or too cool tone, because it's kind of in between. But it's like a perfect neutral toned color for me, and I love it so much. So yeah, had to rave about this. I absolutely am in love with this formula, and I love the color. They smashed it with that. They just smashed it. I love it so much. Okay, and now let's talk about two highlighters, and they're both Super Shock highlighters from Colourpop. So the first one is one of the highlighters from the sorry, my boyfriend texted me. So the first one is the Super Shock highlighter from the Winnie the Pooh collection in the shade 100 Acre Wood. I was trying to resist getting another highlighter from this collection, but I was just such a sucker for the tones that they released in this collection. And of course, I love the Super Shock formula. These were like the first highlighter formula that I tried from Colourpop, because it was obviously the first formula they ever came out with. But this is such a beautiful sorry, he's just asking me to order something for him, so I can go pick it up. So this is the shade 100 Acre Wood, and I'm just going to swatch it for you guys. Sorry. It's such a stunning gold highlighter. You guys know I love Colourpop's highlighters. I mean, this is nothing new. It's a beautiful highlighter. I'm excited to use it some more, because I've only used it like twice since I got it, because I am using a different highlighter that I got as well a couple of days ago. Your girl went a little crazy with makeup this past month, okay? Kind of needed some makeup therapy because of COVID. You're sitting home for 5 days. You're like, I want to order some makeup. So that's what I did. I was like, I had nothing else to do. I was like, I had no energy to do anything else. So yeah, this is gorgeous. Love it. And I highly recommend it if you guys were thinking about it. So, and then the other highlighter, hold on one second. Okay, and the other highlighter I wanted to talk about is from the In the Springs collection, and this one is the shade Flip Flop, which is also one of their Super Shocks. And this is a really, oh geez, I almost dropped it. And this is a really pretty highlighter as well. I mean, hello, it's one of their Super Shock highlighters, and this is just such a stunning shade. It's just such a beautiful, blinding color. And it's just such a pretty, like, light white gold shade for my skin tone. And look how these, just look at them. They're just amazing. They're just one of the best formulas Colourpop has to offer. They just glide on the skin, and they're just super intense on the cheeks. And I've used this one quite a bit since I've gotten it. It's just such a pretty summer highlighter, and I love it. I love it. It's just so pretty on the skin. So I had to mention that one too. And I've been keeping this one in front of me because I've been using it quite a lot. So like anytime I use a different highlighter, I'm like, I really want to use this one again. This one is so pretty. So I'm going to put the 100 Acre Wood one in front of me as well and try to use that one a little bit more. And then the last products I have to talk about are some lip products, of course. So the first two I wanted to mention are both two of the Ultra Glowing Lips from Colourpop. And the first one is the one that I got from the In the Springs collection, and this one is called Adults Only. And I've used this one quite a bit since I have gotten it. I think this is my most used lip product in July because I just really like the color of this one. I mean, I really wasn't wearing that many lippies when I had COVID. I wasn't really wearing makeup in general, obviously, like I said. But this is just such a stunning, like, peachy toned lippy. And I just really like the formula of the Ultra Glowing Lips because they're just so easy to glide on the lips. The only thing that I will say is that the packaging is a little bit annoying because since it's such a creamy, wet lip product, it kind of melts in the tube a little bit. And when you put it on your lips, it kind of pushes down. So you have to keep on like rolling it up and applying it. I mean, yes, it is an easy lip product to use. It just pushes down in the tube. The packaging is a little bit cheap, but I do like how sleek it is. But it kind of also gets all over the tube when you do that. So just keep that in mind. It's not too much of a big deal. But my other one, the first one that I've picked up, I always forget the name of it. The tube is starting to melt a little bit and it kind of fell off a little bit in the tube. So just keep that in mind. And then the other one, so you just have to be a little bit more gentle with them when you use them. And then the other one is the one I'm wearing on my lips today. And that is one of the shades that came out with the original launch of these. And this one is called Cockatoo. And this one's a really pretty pink. And I've only worn this one twice. I think I've only worn this one in August, but I just wanted to mention it because I already love this formula. And I probably should have pushed it to August. But I'm wearing it today and I really, really like it. So I just wanted to mention it. And again, I already love this formula. So it's not like it's anything new. It's just a new shade to me. So I really wanted to get a pink shade of them. And I really, really like them. And then I did want to mention these two lipsticks from the new Princess collection. And they did come out with a full lip set. And the first shade that I really, really like is the shade Moana. And you guys know the Luxe lipstick formula from Colourpop is my all-time favorite lipstick formula. So, of course, I had to pick up two of these. And the shade Moana is a really pretty, like, rosy brown. But it's not too pink on the lips. It's kind of more of, like, a warmer tone rosy pink. And I really, really like this shade. It's super pretty. I wore this one a couple times when I finally got to wear it. And I think the packaging is super cute. And then the other one that I got is the shade Princess Aurora. Of course, I had to get Aurora. I mean, duh. And this one is just such a stunning pink shade. I really liked this one when I wore it to work a couple of days ago. It's just a beautiful pink on the lips. And again, they just glide on the lips and they're so pretty. And I just absolutely love these. So these were just kind of a no-brainer for me to talk about. And then two other lip products that aren't from Colourpop. The first one is by Rare Beauty, and this is one of her new matte lipsticks in the shade Creative. I think they're called the Bespoke or something kind of lipsticks. I can't remember what they're called. But this one's a really pretty peach, and you guys know I'm a sucker for these kind of lip shades. Am I running out of swatch room again? I think so. But this is a really pretty matte peachy shade, and I really, really like it. It's a very nice formula, super easy to use. I think I prefer this formula over the second one, and a lot of people are raving about this formula, but this is the Give by Gwen Stefani lipstick. And this is one of the original Me lipsticks, and she came out with a few nude shades recently, and of course I wanted to pick up one of the shades. So this one is called Lovable Me. And this one is more of like a deeper nude than the Rare Beauty one. They're both such pretty colors. I thought they were a little too similar to each other. And then when I swatched them next to each other, I'm like, okay, they're not really that similar at all. The Gwen Stefani one is a bit more of like a brownish nude. And it's so pretty. I like the formula of this, but I'm not like, oh my God, you need to go out and run and buy it. But I do think it's a good formula. But there are some other matte lipstick formulas that I like more than this one, but I think it's good. Maybe I need to try these again not having COVID now, because your lips can get really dry when you have COVID. But we'll see. I mean, I like both of them a lot. So, and then the last thing I wanted to talk about is a gloss from Colourpop, because I did get one of the new So Glassy glosses that came out with the bronzer, and it also came out with like the Getting Fresh palette. And they did launch a few glosses in like the matte lip finish. And this one is in the shade Solana. And this is a really pretty like matte regular gloss formula. And you guys know that I absolutely love the metallic gloss that I got from Colourpop, and I really love this one too. Like, this one's in the shade Infinite, and I still pop this one on from time to time, but I really have been enjoying both of these, and these have been my most used summertime glosses because they just give this beautiful like glass-like effect to the lips, and they really look like a lip gloss. So I really feel like they're kind of a straight up dupe for the MAC lip glosses, and they're really, really nice. This has become my favorite gloss formula that Colourpop has ever done, and I've worn this one a ton this past month. I was just popping it on over the Rare Beauty lipstick, over the Gwen Stefani one. I wore it almost every time that I wanted to wear a gloss over these two lippies because I wore these lippies quite a bit this past month. So yeah, that is it, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram at CBW819 and check out my Poshmark at the same handle. And why my hair is driving me insane right now. I love you guys so much. Please let me know if you've tried any of these products and let me know what your thoughts were on them. I would love to know. I also didn't try any new mascaras this month or eyeliners. I'm trying to kind of cut down on those as well. So yeah, I love you guys and I hope you have a good day. Bye.